So this year makes my 10-year ayahuasca ceremony anniversary. And I just really wanted to take time to honor that experience and talk about that experience. And so I'll just start from the beginning. Um, I was turning 30 years old and I wanted to do something. Like my 20s were exciting, thrilling, but they ended like really badly and it had me questioning a lot. And so I decided to go to Peru and participate in an ayahuasca ceremony. Um, I went by myself. I did my own research and really like I selected one based on vibes. It was really based on vibes. And I booked like some hostels and I went. And I talk about it a lot in my blog, so this is just like a quick overview, but I go more in depth in my blog. So check out my blog, thebookofvibes.com. There is the ego death vibes on there, so make sure you go and check that out. But I'll just give like an overview of, what happened and what I took away from it and how it still sits with me 10 years later. So, like I said, I went by myself. I got to explore the city. I think it's called Iquitos. That's where you fly into when you're going to the Amazon. So I flew into there, connected with this guy who I think he was connected to the retreat. And then we kind of hit it off. And so he took me around. We went to see like some underground concert. Like it was really cool because on the outside it looked like an abandoned, like, I don't know, warehouse. But then like when you went inside, it was like these beautiful women and this band and all these people. And it was really like, I kind of feel like it was like a welcoming ceremony. Like, okay, Renita, you're here, you're here, you're here. And then we went around and he took me to like this community type comedy show, which was hilarious. Even though it was in Spanish and I don't know Spanish, I found enjoyment in it. Again, just finding joy while I'm there. I wasn't scared when I went. For some reason, I was just like wanting to go, but I didn't have any fear in me. I just was like, I need something. And so then the next day he took me to this little boat where I met the rest of the people that were going to the retreat, and we took the little boat to the Amazon. Again, not scared. Now that I'm looking back on it, I'm like, damn, there could have been an anaconda there, but not scared. Mostly women, people from all around the world there for their own reason, their own purpose. Some people there to like break generational curses, some people there to just let go of ego, some people there just seeking, and some people there just for like an awakening. So we the first night, when I went there, we all got our own little like cottage, which was really beautiful. Like my first day I seen butterflies, and I think my last day, one butterfly like actually went on my finger, which is, I have the picture on my, like right there on my blog. And the first day was intense. I'm not gonna lie, the first day was intense. The first day of the ceremony. So we all like went into this like hut, and then we all sat in a circle, and then the shaman was there preparing the brew. Like I think it was already prepared, but he was preparing it for us to take. And then we all had like, there's a couple of spiritual advisors there, and like we all kind of like connected with the one that we connected with. So I connected with one, I believe her name was Carolina, and she sat next to me during the ceremony. And we each walked up to the shaman with our intention. And me, I didn't really have an intention. My intention was just to be open to the experience, right? That was my intention. I don't know. I know I needed something, but my intention was just to be open. And so you go to the shaman with your intention. You don't say it out loud. You just keep it to yourself. And then you sip the brew, and then you go back and sit down, right? So that's cool. We all sit down. We take our brew, we sit down. It started to hit the fan once the shaman started to play the music and chant. For me, it was like disturbing, like the things in me that were protecting me but really holding me down. It was very heavy. It was a very heavy night. I fought it. And then I was like, oh, I gotta use the bathroom. And so the spiritual advisor, and the spiritual advisor is really just someone to get you to the ceremony. They're not like someone you sit and talk to and ask questions. Like, that's really what the shaman is for. But the spiritual advisor is just to sit there and make sure you're safe during the ceremony. I mean, that was my take on it. And so she went with me to the bathroom. And as I'm walking to the bathroom, it's like red, like super red. And it looks like this big black shadow of someone like mixing a brew, like a witch. I don't know. It was freaking. But I wasn't scared. I wasn't scared. So I walked to the bathroom. I went in there. I peed or whatever. And then everything turned blue. And I was just like, oh, okay. So then I go back and I sit down and I'm still fighting it. The shaman walks around and like blows smoke on you. I believe it was sage and some other things. So maybe tobacco, not sure. But then my spiritual advisor was like, you come from a people that have done very intense ceremonies. You got this, right? And then I was just like, you're right, I got this. And so I kind of just like cried, and then I threw up. And then after I threw up, I went into like a fetal position. Like I just was like in a fetal position, and she was like, you got this. Like a baby. And then like things and people were coming to me in the form of shame. Things I have been ashamed of, and they were like, just let it go. We forgive you. Forgive yourself. Like, and after that moment, I was able to breathe. And then the next night, again, facing another thing that was dug in me that I didn't realize was still there, which was like abandonment. And I had dealt with abandonment with family members, and that again asked for forgiveness. And then after the abandonment came the love. Like people came to me that genuinely loved me. And then I was just in a euphoric space. Like it just felt like love, right? It just felt like love. And then my last night was just chill. And I started speaking another language. Now, mind you, I had gone to Kenya and had studied Kiswahili at Howard. But it wasn't Swahili. It wasn't Kiswahili. I don't know what it was, but I was just speaking a language. And then people in the group were like, Renita, you were singing. And I was like, oh, wow, I was singing. They're like, you were singing in a different language. And I was like, oh, wow. Again, just a place of like peace and awe and just like love. And then afterwards, we always would gather together and talk about the experience if you wanted to talk about it. There were people there that went through a lot, and you know what? I'm not gonna tell their story because I'm not here to tell that. But it was, it was very intense. It was very intense, but in a good way. And for me, it was about forgiving myself, forgiving others, and then accepting love. For me, that's what it was about. And like the barriers I had on myself were, I think, kind of shielding me from those feelings of like abandonment and all of those things. But I didn't need the shields anymore. That's kind of what the experience showed me. I didn't need any of that stuff anymore. It was a real like ego death. It was a real ego death. And so then afterwards we like, an indigenous group came out, we danced, had flower baths, had mud baths, just full of joy and love and lightness. And then someone came that read art. So she had us draw whatever was on us, just draw it. And so I drew a heart with wings. I thought it was like so happy and beautiful. And then she looked at it and turned it upside down and showed me the sadness. And then I was like, wow, like my ego is still there trying to protect me from my true feelings of sadness. And she just like exposed it a little bit more for me. And so after the ceremony was over, I explored Peru. I backpacked Peru. So I went to Lima, visited the Afro-Peruvian Museum, Afro-Peruvian music, food. I hiked Machu Picchu. Like I hiked it. It was beautiful. Everything was glowing. The butterflies were glowing. I just felt really light. And I didn't realize how much shame and abandonment, how heavy it was for me to like, once I faced it, it kind of made me a little lighter. It made me like, I can't explain it. I was just moving, like gliding. And it was wonderful. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And so, this is my 10-year anniversary from when I did it. And I always said, okay, in 10 years, I'm going to go back. But it's just, I haven't gone back. Ayahuasca is really intense, really heavy. And I've done other things, other ceremonies like in Cuba and Honduras and back home in the States. So I've been working on myself, but ayahuasca is just really intense. And I think I may go back once my daughter is older, because right now I just feel like I move with a little bit more fear, and that's just because I have someone that's, I'm taking care of. And sometimes you go on those journeys and you don't come back. And so I'm just like, I'll just live with the experience and the awareness and the teachings it brought me at the time. And I'll go back one day. But it was just really beautiful. And so like 10 years later, as I reflect on my life, on multiple ego deaths that have happened since then, like you don't just have one ego death, like I've had multiple. And just thinking about things that I've learned from there is ego death is not destruction, it's honesty. It removes the mask without removing the self. Shame survives in silence. When faced with compassion, it loses its power. Healing is not instant. Sometimes medicine opens the door. The rest of life teaches you how to walk through it. And I felt like with me, that was ayahuasca for me. It was like the key. And that opened the door, but I still had to like walk through the door, decorate my home, and make myself feel comfortable in it. But I needed that key, and that key was just like a reflection of like, look at who you really are outside of these things that you've put up to be who you think you need to be instead of who you really are. And not when I say you, I'm meaning me. Um, Lightness comes from truth, not escape. Facing what I avoided gave me freedom. I didn't realize how much, how I had buried things so deep, yet it was too deep to where I couldn't grow. It was stifling my growth. And so I had to face it and just be like, all right, I'm gonna face it. All right, moving on. Okay, letting go. The other one is spiritual growth doesn't end, it deepens. What began at 30 continues to unfold for me as a mother, as a woman, and as myself. Again, I've had multiple ego deaths since then, and I'm going to continue to have them because as life goes, I have new experiences, new things happen to me, and new guards come up that I think are protecting me, but they're not. So, yeah. That was my experience. And I just wanted to share that. So thank you. Bye.
No joda. Yo no soy ningún marica. Yo no me he declarado marica en ningún programa de televisión. Yo no me voy a dejar acabar de otros maricas que andan por ahí. No joda. Vuelvo y digo, soy un varón. Por eso hice esta canción, para que se acabe esa maricada, no joda. Se convirtió en Mariflor.